Okay, I think we are going to go ahead and get started here. Thank you, everybody, for being here today and taking time out of your afternoon to spend time with us today. This is Transfer Talk Tuesday, OATN All Access, who we are and what's next. My name is Joey Derrico. I am the Assistant Director of Operations for OATN, and I'm joined by my OATN colleagues, Abby Cohen, Lisa Holstrom, and Brittany Kim, who will also be helping to facilitate this meeting today. Before we jump into things, I wanted to go over the flow of the meeting and a couple of different housekeeping items. Our meeting today will be broken into 3 different parts. First, we'll spend about 20 minutes with an engaging presentation to get to know the OATN staff more. Next, we'll spend about 15 to 20 minutes talking about some recent updates for OATN, goals for the future, and where you might find some helpful resources. And finally, we will conclude with a 5 to 10 minute Q&A segment at the end. A couple different housekeeping items. First off, this meeting will be recorded and then posted to our website and YouTube page after the conclusion of this meeting. We do ask that you please keep your cameras off, at least for the first portion of the meeting, as it'll be helpful to see who's talking as we introduce ourselves. And finally, if you have any questions throughout this meeting, please feel free to put them in the chat for the Q&A period at the end. And with that, I'll pass it off to my OATN colleague, Abby Cohen, and she is going to run us through the first part of this meeting.
Thank you, Joey. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Like Joey said, we're going to go ahead and play a little fun interactive game to get to know our staff members here with the Ohio Articulation and Transfer Network. I'm going to share my screen here in a second, and there will be a QR code that you will scan to play along. So if you've ever used Kahoot before, this is kind of like that. It's called Slido. And there will be a fun fact on the screen and 4 team members to choose from. And you'll have about 20 seconds to pick whoever you think it is. And then once the timer goes off, the answer will be shown. And then whoever that team member is will go ahead and introduce themselves and what they do. So I'm going to share my screen. If I can figure out how. All right. You're going to go ahead and scan this QR code right here. Please let us know if you're having any technical issues. It should be pretty easy. I'm going to also copy the joining link and share it in the chat. Oh, it looks like Joey already did that. All right. And I'll give a couple minutes, wait for everybody to join, and then once I have a good enough amount of people, then I'll go ahead and click start. Looks like we have about 36 people in there. If anyone's having trouble joining, let us know in the chat. Did someone just try to say something? If you're having trouble, you can speak up or you can put it in the chat, either or. Okay, I'll give it a few more seconds and then I'll go ahead and start. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and start. We'll start with the first screen over here. It's gonna give you about 20 seconds, and then it'll show the correct answer, okay? So we're gonna go ahead and hit start. Okay, so this first question, I have been playing the clarinet for over 20 years. So the correct answer was Jennifer. Jennifer, if you want to go ahead and show your face and what you do here at OATN.
Hi, everyone. I am Jennifer Byers. I serve as the Associate Director for Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathways. I work to make sure that associate degrees have a clear path to bachelor's degrees in an equivalent field. So feel free to contact me if you have any questions about the pathway templates or about the search tool. And as my fun fact says, I've been playing clarinet for over 20 years. I have a degree in clarinet performance, and I play clarinet in the Army Reserve Band.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, we'll go ahead and head over to the next question. Looks like Hannah Young. Well, there's a lot of people, but it looks like Hannah Young is showing up as the leaderboard right now. Okay. And the second question, I like to make jewelry. All right, time's up. A lot of people voted for Nikki, and that is the correct answer. Nikki, if you want to go ahead and show your screen and introduce yourself.
Hello, to those of you who I don't know or haven't met, I'm Nikki Worley. I currently serve as the Senior Director for Career Technical Education Transfer Initiatives. So anything really with the C tags, so high school career tech credit, and I tags, credit for industry recognized credentials. Feel free to reach out to me to all of those things. I started dabbling in making jewelry, I want to say just before the pandemic started, and then have just like tried out lots of different, types of materials and products and different things. And this is something I recently made, it's just seed bead toggle bracelet. So this is what I like to do in my spare time. Thank you.
I can attest to Nikki's jewelry making. She has made me a few things. She is very talented. All right, we'll go ahead and move to the second one, or third one, sorry. Looks like Brittany is showing as the leaderboard. Okay. I'm a published poet with a poem archived in a celebration of young poets. A lot of people thought Joey was a published poet. Let's see. It was Jesse. Jesse, if you want to go ahead and show yourself and what you do with OATN.
Sure. Thanks, Abby. Jessie Hart here, Senior Director of OATN Policy, Budget, and Constituent Relations. My role here is threefold. So overseeing OATN Policy Manual, very much a living document. Also overseeing OATN budgets, and finally overseeing development and assistance with implementation tied to pre-major, beginning major courses, gen ed, advanced placement, some math curriculum development sprinkled in there, and some reverse transfer. So just a shout out out to the English faculty at your respective institutions, maybe a future student poet in your midst. So nice to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Jesse. Let's see. Jennifer is up here. Jennifer and Ben are up here. All right. Move to the fourth question. I was once a bouncer at a club. A lot of votes for Jared. Let's see. Yep, Jared was the right one. Jared, if you want to go ahead and show yourself and talk about what you do.
Hello, I'm Jared Shank, Senior Director for Military and Apprenticeship Initiatives and Special Projects. So within the OATN, probably my main focus is military credit, but I'm also involved with apprenticeship credit, CLEP, the College Level Examination Program, as well as International Baccalaureate. So those are all kind of things in my wheelhouse. And for my fun fact, just sort of a random thing, when I got out of the Army, I was visiting Wright State, which is where I went to school, and one of my friends was good friends with a bunch of people at one of the bars, and I just walked in and they were like, "Hey, you look like you could be a bouncer." I was like, "Okay, I'll do it." So I just sort of walked right into that one. So that's it for my fun fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Jared. All right, let's see. Jennifer, you're leading the pack. All right, we'll move on to the fifth question. I have two different colored eyes. Let's see. We have a kind of an equal split between Ben and myself. Correct answer is me. So my name is Abby Cohen. I'm the Assistant Director for Initiative Development and Processing with OATN. I do have two different colored eyes, which is called heterochromia, and on my license it says that I am dichromatic. One of my eyes is brown and the other one is blue-green. So this is always my fun fact, my icebreaker in group settings. I work with Ohio Transfer 36 and Transfer Assurance Guides or tags, assisting in the review cycle, as well as Military Transfer Assurance Guides or MTAGs, and any other military related educational initiative. And I'll go ahead and move to the sixth question. I have been to nearly 20 national parks, and it is my goal to see all of them. A lot of votes for Paula. Let's see, the correct answer was Joey. Joey, if you want to show yourself again and introduce yourself again.
Yeah, so as you can see from my fun fact, I enjoy visiting our national parks. Most recent one I've been to was Death Valley in California. I went there last year, and I would say my favorite park has probably been Olympic in the state of Washington. On the OATN team, though, I am the Assistant Director of Operations, which means I sort of act as a utility player on our team, and I work in a couple different areas. I'd be a good person to contact for any questions you have relating to contracts or invoices, any of the meetings that we put on, or if you just need help getting connected to someone on our team.
Thank you, Joey. Who do we have in the leaderboards? Jared. Jennifer, what happened? You lost the leaderboard. All right, we'll go to the seventh question. I was born in Hawaii. A lot of votes for Brittany. Let's see who the question or who the answer was. Lisa. Lisa, if you want to go ahead and show yourself and introduce yourself.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Lisa Holstrom. I'm the Senior Associate Director working with our Ohio Technical Centers. So I help create academic pathways for students who want to continue a degree after they complete a training program at one of our OTCs in the state. So I was born in Hawaii. I lived there 1 month. My dad was managing the Sheraton Hotel on Waikiki Beach when I was born. And much to my disappointment as a 1 month old, he was transferred to the Sheraton Hotel in downtown Cincinnati. So our family moved from Waikiki Beach to the lovely metropolis of Cincinnati. Probably one of the youngest plane travelers ever, though, at 1 month old. All the way back then, right? Coming from Hawaii to Cincinnati. So glad to see you all.
Cincinnati is just as good as Hawaii. All right, we'll see the leaderboard. Who do we have? Jared still reigning in #1. Move to question 8. I was an honorary football coach for the Ohio State Buckeyes. A lot of votes for Paula. Let's see. Paula is the correct answer. Paula, if you could go ahead and show yourself and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Paula Compton, Associate Vice Chancellor for Articulation and Transfer, and it's my honor to get to work with all of you and the staff, the OATN staff, and making sure that Ohio has the best statewide transfer program possible. And the way I became an honorary coach is that when I worked at Ohio State, I oversaw freshman admissions, and we used to have to do preliminary evaluations of recruits to make sure that they were eligible for admissions to the university. And the football coach thought it was very important that we understood what happened on game day. So I actually got to be with the team, went to their team breakfast, went across the field with them and along the sidelines, and it was a lot of fun. So thank you. Bye-bye.
I have to say that was my favorite fun fact out of everybody, just because I am a Buckeye. So super cool fun fact. We still have Jared up in the top. Move on to question number 9. I lived in South Korea for 6 years. Lots of votes for Brittany. All right, Brittany is the correct answer. Brittany, if you could go ahead and show yourself and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Brittany Kim. I am the Associate Director of the Secondary Career Technical Alignment Initiative at OATN, which means that I work with our CTAGs. I work on the creation side of our CTAG initiative, so I work with a lot of the faculty at your institutions on reviewing the current CTAGs we have and then creating new ones in different areas. So if you ever have any questions about that process, about things we're working on in that area, please feel free to contact me. And yes, I lived in South Korea for 6 years. I moved there directly after I graduated my undergrad from the University of Toledo. And I met my now husband there, which is why I have the last name Kim. So that might have given it away from some of you. So that is my fun fact. So nice to meet everyone.
Thank you, Brittany. All right. Melissa and Jared competing for first. Okay, we'll move to the 10th question. I have studied to varying degrees 7 languages, and I used to teach one of them. So votes for Ben. And that is the correct answer. Ben, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. I am a senior associate director on our career technical team. So I work with Nikki and Brittany, and I oversee the implementation of CTAGs and ITAGs. So again, CTAGs award college credit for career technical coursework taken at the high school level, and ITAGs award college credit for industry recognized credentials. So I oversee the course submission and review and approval process, and I also work with the colleges as they are awarding the credit. So if you ever have any questions about which courses at your institution are approved for CTAGs and ITAGs, or if you're working with students who are trying to access CTAG or ITAG credit, I would be your go-to person for that. And I'm also the unapologetic language geek here at OATN. So in addition to English, I have studied German, Latin, French, Dutch, Czech, and I am currently learning ancient Greek and Italian. I used to teach German at Ohio University. That's definitely the language I know the best besides English. And another fun fact, it's not often that I get to practice my Latin as a spoken language, but last Thursday when the new Pope was announced, I understood the Latin proclamation enough to recognize that his papal name was Leo the 14th. So I was proud of myself for that. Thank you.
You do it, Ben. Hard enough for me to learn another language other than English. All right, let's see who is out there. All right, we have a couple people, 6 out of 10. Okay, we'll move on to the 11th question. I have lived in 27 different places within 5 different countries. See, lots of votes for Candace. And the correct answer is Joy. Joy, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone. I've lived in many places because I spent 20 years in the U.S. Navy. Among my residents, I was in Italy, Panama, England, Spain, Florida, California, and Virginia. Currently, I serve as the Associate Director of Technology with the OATN team. In my role, I'm responsible for technologies in support of the team, including the website, the listserv, the Technology Steering Committee, and data analysis with many dashboards, among other things. I'm also responsible for the Transfer Credit Coding Initiative, which supports the institutions in reporting transfer data to the Higher Education Information System.
Thank you, Joy. Now, I do have a question for you, Joy. Are you able to speak the languages of where you lived?
No, Abby. I took 2 years of Spanish in high school, and then when I lived in Italy, things got all crazy. Just that crossover was horrible.
You got to start speaking to Ben. All right, let's see. Who is in the leaderboard? DKC. All right. Move on to the 12th question. I have biked the entirety of the Chesapeake and Ohio Canal's 184.5-mile towpath multiple times. Lots of votes for Candace. Let's see. It is Michelle. Michelle, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michelle Blaney. I am the Associate Director for Articulation and Transfer Policy. And at the OATN, I focus on implementation of transfer assurance guides, so tags, which are pre-major, beginning major courses, Ohio Transfer 36, general education courses. I also work with advanced placement and credit when it's due, which is Ohio's reverse transfer initiative. Most of my time is spent on Ohio Transfer 36 and TAG, working with faculty panels and also institutional coordinators on their course submissions and reviews of those course submissions. And of course, if you have any questions about any of these initiatives, feel free to reach out to me. Then also about my fun fact. So yes, I have biked the entirety of the C&O Canal multiple times. It's 184.5 miles. When I was younger, I would go to camp in the summer, and that was the bicycle camp. Was a week-long trip to bike from Cumberland, Maryland to Washington, D.C. And also one year we took a slight detour and did 220 miles to go out and visit the Antietam National Battlefield as well. So I've been an avid bicyclist the majority of my life.
Thank you, Michelle. My legs would be noodles after that. I don't know how you do it. That's so cool though. All right, let's see. PKC still on the leaderboard. All right, and our last question. I have close to 300 houseplants. Candace is the winning one in that one. All right, Candace, if you could go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Candace Grant. I'm the Senior Director of the Ohio Guaranteed Transfer Pathways. So anything pathways related, you can reach out about if you have questions about the initiative. If you have ideas for new pathways that we haven't done yet, please feel free to send me an email or give me a call. Let's see here. Someone asked, what's the most difficult plant child? I really do not love palms and most caletheas. They are tricky. They like lots of water. But funnily enough, my husband always said I had a black thumb up until the pandemic. And then I kind of got into plants as a hobby, and it just kind of, it really snowballed from there. So we had maybe like 20 plants in 2020 and now, yeah, close to 300. But yeah, I always say that anyone can actually be really good at plants, but you just have to find your plant parenting style, and mine is neglect. If it cannot survive being underwatered or missing a watering, we're not compatible. So I do not have any of those kinds of plants. But if you're like me, philodendron, that's great. Also, shout out to everyone who thought I was actually athletic enough to do that much cycling. Not that athletic. Michelle is. So.
You are athletic in your own way. You're very good at yoga. I'll say that.
Okay, yeah, I can do yoga, but not cycling.
All right, let's see our final leaderboard. Thank you, Candace. Okay, now PKC, I have an inkling this may be someone on our team. Paula, is that you or is this somebody else?
It is me, Paula
Okay.
Compton.
Wow, that's cheating. So nobody on the OATN team can win. So it looks like we have Melissa Swafford. You are our winner. I don't have any prizes for you other than to say that you won. So thank you all for playing. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen and hand it back over.
Awesome.
And thank you all for participating.
Thank you for leading us through that, Abby. I hope you all thought that was a nice, engaging way to learn more about the OATN team in a nice, interactive manner. So now I'm going to turn it over to my OATN colleagues, Lisa Holstrom and Brittany Kim, and they're going to talk about some recent updates for OATN, goals for the upcoming future, and where you can find some helpful resources.
Hey, thanks, Joy. And thanks for all the work on that fun game, Abby. Yes, I was thinking about the same thing. It's like, if anyone realized what happens to me when I get on a bike, they wouldn't have guessed that I was did the bicycle riding either. It's not a good equation for me. So, so my job is to do what I'm calling speedy updates. So we don't want to spend a lot of time giving you updates, but we do feel that you enjoy hearing and we like sharing kind of what's going on and what has happened in the past few months. And then I'll kind of segue into what's next so that you have a little bit of a preview of what the things that we will be working with you on. So let me start my speedy updates. At the conclusion of the spring 2025 review cycle, you all had submitted 407 general education courses and 62 pre-major and beginning major courses. So the OATN staff are finalizing those submission results, and you will be receiving, or your provost will be receiving, compliance details in the upcoming weeks. Speaking of compliance, we held an inaugural in-person meeting of the Compliance Implementation Support Community. All 35 publics met to discuss their successes and challenges with meeting the requirements of statewide transfer coursework, and they created a joint vision for goals and structures of the group. We would like to improve compliance around the state because, as you know, it's the magic that makes transfer happen. Another recently held and productive meeting was the Ohio Math Initiative, which brought together department chairs. They renewed goals, discussed potential strategies to work as a state to improve student success in math. In-person meetings for both compliance and math were received very positively. We're beginning to get into more in-person meetings, and the response has really been positive as we move from some virtual to a few in-person meetings. A new ITAG was born. So we recently announced the Chemical Dependency Counselor Assistant. We wrapped up IT and Arts and Communications CTAG reviews. So looking ahead, we're going to need the submissions for those this fall from faculty, and you'll start to see students coming in with these new CTAG credit in those areas. Specifically, the big areas that you might notice a difference are dance, stagecraft is back on the scene, and database administration. There's been a lot of interest in OTC degree pathways, which was formerly the one-year option. So that involved me, and I've been on the road a lot. So if your team would like a presentation or you have more questions about OTC degree pathways, formerly known as one-year option, let me know. And then the team continues to be very involved in aligning academic coursework and workforce needs, especially in the sector of advanced manufacturing. We meet regularly with a team of other stakeholders, and including Accenture, the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, Ohio Manufacturing Association, the Governor's Office of Workforce Transformation, the Ohio Association of Community Colleges. OSU has a program called HAMMER, Hybrid Autonomous Manufacturing, moving from evolution to revolution. I think they get the prize for the best acronym. And the Inter-University Council, and the Ohio Department of Jobs and Family Services. So that work has really kept us busy as we think about our responsibilities and possibilities to help the workforce in Ohio. So you might be wondering, what's up next? Well, we're looking at a potential technical calculus class. So those learning outcomes and as a transferable gen ed course focused on workforce and industry needs. So that's something that we're thinking about here. We've done we're working on new and revised learning outcomes for public relations and advertising tags. So those are out for statewide endorsement. And if everything goes well, you'll be seeing those come through. We're busy learning about apprenticeship programs in other states to see what we can replicate here in Ohio, especially in the area of advanced manufacturing. And of course, we're talking about pathway options for this work. On CTAG land, we are working now with the ODU, Ohio Department of Education and Workforce, for new and revised engineering technology courses, and those get released in the fall of 2026. So there's a bit of a lag time because of the intensive work that goes into the CTAG process. And the theme for the fall of 2027, the courses that will get released then, will be education and law and public safety. So those initial processes with faculty are getting underway now. So that's some exciting work. We're doing some initial work again with ODU to create pathway options to connect to the secondary coursework. So looking at CTAGs to higher education degrees, especially for engineering and manufacturing pathways. We've been thinking about the military and that it is really a third-party training provider. And once we start thinking about the military that way, that opens up possibilities to create ITAGs around military training, as well as new pathway opportunities. So we're kind of looking to see what that would bring. And then over the summer, we're going to be releasing new ITAGs in IT, CompTIA Tech Plus and CompTIA A Plus. I will be releasing if everything goes well, the Police Academy OPATA. We just got the survey results back from that one. We're working on iTags in automotive service excellence for your automotive programs, as well as some in the areas of manufacturing, the PLCs, and robotics. That wraps up in a speedy way updates and what's coming down the pike soon. Brittany, I think that's you.
It is me. All right. Thanks, Lisa. So like Joey mentioned, I am going to share just some, let's see here. Believe everyone should be able to see my screen now. So we get questions all the time about like where different resources are on our website. We are 100% aware that our website is not always easiest place to find things unless you're using it every day like we are. So we kind of gathered some things in a couple specific areas. So I just wanted to quickly kind of show where those are. So if you go to our main transfer.ohio.gov website and go to our educational partners, you can either click on it here on the main page or it's always up here on the top as well. If you go to that educational partners website, this is generally where most everyone on this call would be going for information, unless you're trying to, help a student or show a student something from their point of view. And then if you scroll down here, there is a link to our additional resources webpage. And we've tried to really make sure that there's enough information on here without it being too overwhelming, but things that are important to all of you around the state who are working, with transfer students with transfer and articulation at your institution. So there's a few main things I wanted to kind of make sure you are aware of on here. If you go to the About OATN page, that's going to give you a very good overview of all of our initiatives, what they are, how they work together, and then our structure at OATN. And there's also a link here that goes to a PDF version of this document. So everything that's in here that looks like a link, when you're looking at this image, you can actually click on and it'll take you, to the correct part of our website. So this is, a really nice thing that you can use. It's also, the PDF is printable. So, if you ever want this information all in one place, that's all there. And then as well on this About OATN page, there is a Contact Us page, which has our main email address that you can always use for any general questions or concerns you have. But we also then have an OATN contact information sheet here now. If you're looking to talk to any of the people that introduced themselves earlier during this session, and you're trying to remember, oh, wait, it was Abby who said she worked with this, wasn't it? You can go in here and you can look and see who it is that's working with the thing you have questions about. And then you can actually see their email and their phone number. So all of that information is right there. Another thing, if we go back to that additional resources page, there's quite a bit of other stuff in here, but just, for everyone to kind of, know exactly where some of the most important things are, in my opinion. There's that contact sheet, there's the About OATN. There is also a course catalog for all institutions link. I'm sure that some of you will probably find this incredibly useful in your daily work. I use it all the time. It has a link to every single public college and university's academic catalog and then their institutional course description. So if you did not know this was here and it's something that would be helpful to you, I would go find it right now and stick that bookmark on there because, like I said, I use this almost daily. And then there's also a link to like our Transfer Talk Tuesday. So this recording and all of the ones before that will be on there. And then one area that we just recently created is this compliance link here, which has additional information for any of you that are working with submissions and compliance. There's all kinds of resources here, CEMS training materials, resources about our different initiatives and the submission process, the guidance documents for those. There's also then, if you click on institutional compliance monitoring, you can see the compliance rates for different initiatives for your institution. You can also figure out who to email if you want like specific compliance reports for your institution. And then you also can get to the course reporting system here, which is where you can find like current course approvals for all of our initiatives. So those are just some basic things that are in here in case you weren't aware that this website existed. We tried to kind of pull everything together here. If you think that there is something on here or something not on here that you're like, I wish I knew where to find that easily. A lot of times things that people ask for or, you know, information that we get requests for actually is on our website somewhere, but people just don't know where to find it. So if you ever are looking for something and you don't know where to find that information, please let us know. We can add things and remove things from here to make this more easy for all of you who use it on a regular basis. So that's just kind of, you know, what we have going on there. And then we have about 5 minutes here. Like Joey had said, we did plan to do a Q&A session, and we had a few people submit some questions ahead of time. So I'm going to just quickly go over those for those of you who had submitted questions ahead of time. I want to make sure those get answered. And if anyone does have any additional questions, if you want to throw them in the chat, I can't guarantee that we're going to get to them right now. Like I said, we only have 5 minutes, but if you do have those questions, feel free to throw them in there. We can always follow up afterwards if we need to. So one of the questions that we got was, do we have any best practices for accepting credit of, it says awarded from a Credly document. If you guys aren't aware what Credly is, I'm sure most of you at this point probably do know, but Credly is like a digital badge website where students can have proof of like any credentials and things like that that they have earned. As a state, we do not have, you know, we do not use Credly. We are not associated with Credly. However, there are some of our ITAGs, our industry recognized credential transfer assurance guides that do actually utilize Credly. The credential that the ITAG includes utilizes Credly for the proof of the credential. So it is something obviously that, you know, we are okay with the use of because, you know, we have that included in part of our ITAG. So that's obviously going to be up to your institution, but from our perspective, Credly is, you know, a legitimate website that does show proof of those credentials. So that was the answer to that question. I also had one that asked about if we could share the types of staff position descriptions for those functioning in the transfer credit areas in Ohio, with the idea of like, you know, guiding future discussions with leadership for reorganizations, budget issues, things like that. We specifically don't have you know, like a bunch of what's the word I'm trying to think of? Like position descriptions or things like that. However, something I would recommend doing if that is something you're trying to do, you know, having those conversations with leadership. I just put a link to the CCRC transfer playbook in the chat. If you haven't looked at that yet, they just updated it in March of 2025, but the transfer playbook gives a ton of detailed information about best practices. And so they have some example governance charts. They have descriptions of institutions that are doing transfer well and what they're doing. So if you are trying to, you know, come up with any kind of, you know, reasoning for, you know, some reorganization and things like that, I would say look there first because they have a lot of really, really good advice within that transfer playbook. And then one other one that we had, I just wanted to make sure that we brought it up because the question came across, how will the new requirement from SB1 for a civics course be integrated into OATN efforts? Will it be added to OT 36? I didn't want to just brush by this question because I know it's a question that a lot of you probably have right now. I know it's something that's being talked about at all of our institutions. The answer to the question is that we don't have an answer yet. And I know that's not a great answer, but I just wanted to make sure that we do at least bring it up because I want to make very clear that we do understand the importance of this. we know that your institutions are all already working on things, maybe creating new courses, maybe incorporating content into current courses. And we know that it would be a very big missed opportunity if this was not something that was transferable across the state. So we do know the importance of it. We are working on it behind the scenes, and we will let you know as soon as we have answers. But that's where we are right now. So, continue to keep an eye out. We will share information as soon as we have it. That was the questions that I had submitted from our survey ahead of time. Not sure I see any more in the chat.
there are
Lisa,
no
did you
new
have something
ones.
to add?
I'm just saying there's no new ones, Brittany.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's it, Joey, did you want to go ahead and wrap up?
Yeah, thank you, Brittany, for leading us through that part of the meeting. Just a final couple closing details. So this recording will be posted to our website and our YouTube page in the coming days. If you're interested in more information from OATN, you can join our Friends of OATN newsletter. It's a great way to stay up to date on what we're up to and to learn about upcoming events. You can email your contact information to transfer@highered.ohio.gov, and I just put that email address in the chat. Our next Transfer Talk Tuesday is tentatively scheduled for Tuesday, July 8th, and we should have more information in the coming weeks for that, hopefully. And with that, I just would thank everyone for their time today and for joining us, and for Brittany and Lisa and Abby for helping make this a successful meeting. So thank you, everyone.